What a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe.
What a day! What a lovely day!
I don't quite know why that happened. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it's live, and a link in the info box below this video. But most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't join this stream again using a sock account. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show, as this increases the live audience, of course, and that in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you are new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Arwin and Ranty. How are you both doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Could do better.
Oh no, what's up, Arwin?
Being tortured all morning.
Tortured?
Lumberjacks destroying that lovely patch of forest that makes this location kind of worthwhile.
Well, don't mention the lumberjacks. Trolls will have a field day on that.
No, it's just, I don't get why they're doing it. It's like there's an open field just doing nothing right next to it. Why are they freaking cutting this thing down? I'm severely pissed off, and the sound of it is just a nightmare. It's going all morning, non-stop, and they're just destroying everything.
Can you not go and sort of chain yourself to a tree or something?
No, not without a flamethrower.
Was it in the works anyway that they were going to do this?
Yeah, probably. I don't know what the hell they're gonna do, but it's a waste. It's a beautiful patch of forest. It's like the only patch of forest in the entire environment here. Why are they doing this? I don't get it. I'm really pissed off. Anyway, sorry to ruin the mood like that.
You're quite welcome. It's Earth-related, Arwin.
Well, I think Michael Jackson sang about it, didn't he? You know, pretty much with the Earth song.
I don't know it. Can you remind me how it went?
Well, I can't really sing.
I'm just joking. Just kidding. I'm gonna break into a high E over middle C or something. Wind blowing through your hair.
It makes you wonder, though. You know, I mean, all these celebrities that do speak out and sort of like say things like this, you know, they're the ones that end up getting bumped off, aren't they?
The celebrities?
Yeah. I mean, Michael Jackson, I mean, I think he was definitely done in, don't you?
I don't know. I watched the trial and it seemed like he overdosed on Prothonol, or however you pronounce it. Very strong sedative or an anaesthetic. But
Yeah,
I don't know the validity. The whole thing was a circus, the court case itself. So how much validity even the court case has, I have no idea. Really, I don't.
Yeah, it's the favourite thing, though, to get away with things like that. They all seem to have drug overdoses. Marilyn Monroe, etc., etc., etc. You know, if they know something, or they're going to be a rebel in any way because they've got a bit of, a lot of fame, then they could be an issue. So they just eliminate that issue, don't they?
Could be. I mean, they've got a lot of power. Musicians are very, very influential. So, yeah. Powerful people are undoubtedly monitored.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know why they're destroying the habitat. It makes no sense. You know,
Probably want to build something stupid over there.
Yeah, but essentially,
because there's not enough big, huge blocks of concrete and flats everywhere yet. You gotta destroy that final patch of forest that's there, that everybody actually likes over here. Like the entire area, like everybody's been speaking out like, yeah, we really like that patch. It's like the one thing that makes it worth living here, and now they're freaking destroying it.
But what are they putting in its place?
I don't know, a building probably.
You never know, though. It
Like
might
they
be a
always do.
supermarket. You might look out.
Or maybe they're going to build a parking lot because it's really necessary. No, probably not, but
Everyone loves cars.
what the
It's
hell
true.
it's going to be? Maybe like a school or something, or some stupid library or whatever, or a new globe center, or whatever the hell they're going to do. I don't care. It's a waste. It's a giant waste, and there's a field that is exactly as large as the entire patch of forest right across it. There was an old warehouse on that. It has been demolished completely. It's been empty for 2 years. Why are they doing it? I don't get it. This is pretty old woods. It's been there for at least 50 years. I'm just really, really horrified about this.
Okay.
And
Well,
I
they're
can't
not
turn
just
off the
doing it in
sound.
yours, though, are they? To be fair, they're doing it all over. Let's be honest about it. You know, it's not just your location that's suffering. You know, they're cutting down forests everywhere. They're displacing wild animals and endangered species to the point where they've got nowhere to go, so they obviously die out. You know, it's a cycle, and then when they take that plant life out of the equation, of course, that reduces the amount of CO2 that can be absorbed and reduces the amount of oxygen that they put back up. Hi, Jamie.
Yeah.
CO2 that can be absorbed and
That didn't take long. And we're back. Hello again.
hello. I was a little bit slow because I wasn't too sure if he was a sniper or not.
Yeah, no worries. I'll leave the link unpublished for 5 minutes while we just have a reasonable conversation, then I'll stick it out in a minute. I'll let you know when I do.
Right, no worries.
So before we started the show, we were talking about, you were saying that you'd watched a few videos, Ranty, about people who had analysed the body language of some of the astronauts after they'd returned from the moon landing missions. So that's enough lead. Hopefully you can take off from there.
Well, it all comes down to yesterday because, you know, I went off, had my breakfast, came back, saw that your stream had ended. So I decided to watch the end of that and noticed that the Rumpus had come in and mentioned an authoritative witness, whichever. And I was like, so who are they? Who essentially is he saying is somebody that's in authority that can be a witness to the moon landings? Well, he cited NASA. So when I said NASA, I assume he meant the NASA astronauts. Because if you're going to be asking anybody, an eyewitness, the most important person is the person that was there experiencing it. So, but when you actually get to the nuts and bolts of it and you want to ask the astronauts, hey, you know, have you been to the moon? you know, this reporter went around with his Bible and he asked, what, 6 or 7 different astronauts, because there's only been, what, there's not been that many people that have apparently walked on the moon. So he got to see 7 of them, and every one of them basically threatened to knock his lights out, or, you know, they would not put the hand on the Bible and swear that they'd been to the moon. Now, that raises alarm bells, in my opinion, because if the only people we can ask are these guys that have been essentially sent to the moon with taxpayer-funded money, and they're doing this on behalf of the human race, and they've done such an achievement, you would think they would want to talk about this. And what's transpired afterwards is the very few interviews that they've done, there's been people that have analysed the body language and the vocabulary that they've used, and found out that they're all talking in the third person. You know, they're not saying, I was there, I saw the stars, or I was there, or I could see the different planets. It's always, well, from the moon, it's possible that you could see the stars, or you could see different planets, you know, or from the moon, you could see the Earth. It was never, I saw the Earth. You know, this kind of speech was always, it wasn't double entendre, but it was distancing themselves from being in that position. Now, I think what happened, I mean, I may be defending the astronauts here in some way, was that I think they went through the training, and I think they probably did all the training. They got themselves all psyched up for going to the moon. And I believe wholeheartedly on the day that they were told, right, you're getting in the capsule. And when they got in the capsule, they was like, right, you're getting out the other side. You are not going to the moon. And they didn't know what the hell was going on. And I think they were debriefed at the very last possible minute that they weren't actually going to go to the moon. And then they had to fake this. That's what I think happened. Because up until then, the demeanor was completely different prior to the moon landings to as afterwards. So I think they were hyped. They were ready to go. They were putting on a good show for everybody pre-launch. And afterwards, they realized that they'd been duped, and they literally were debriefed and had to go and face the general public and tell them that they went to the moon. Basically, they had to lie. That's the only thing that makes sense. And it's why they won't talk about it now. I mean, I think that gentleman was offering them £10,000 as well to put the hand on the Bible and just say they went to the moon. And of course, they wouldn't do that. Now, it just makes no logical sense. So when he cited authoritative witness yesterday, well, we've tried to get authoritative witness from people, the astronauts. We've tried to go and approach them and confirm that they went to the moon. And up until now, they haven't done that. So we're still asking the question, prove that you've been to the moon, Rumpus. Because you cannot cite NASA. You cannot do that. It's impossible. Because we've tried, and the astronauts won't even touch it.
All right, I'm going to try putting the link out again. Let's give it a go.
Yeah, okay.
See you in the next hangout.
So yeah, so if you want to bring an authoritative witness in, I mean, we've got the son of an astronaut, but again, that's second hand, isn't it? You know, it's not really.
No, all M. Scott Veitch did was say, well, my father and his mates all told me about how they went to space. Would you suggest he's lying? And we all went, yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's the thing. They won't do it. They won't admit to it in public, will they? And if you think about Neil Armstrong's cryptic message that he said, something like, we've basically just started this journey, it's up to others to finish it, all that kind of cryptic talk. Yeah, I don't believe for 1 minute they went to the moon. I don't think anybody does, really. I think deep down, even the people that say they went to the moon doesn't believe that they went to the moon. There's too much evidence on the contrary. Down even the people that...
Hi, Alan.
Good morning.
Good morning, Alan.
How are we?
Very well, very well. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I've just been watching Vice, rather disturbing video.
Vice?
Yes, the the auto hoaxer guy, Sidethorn. He's the kind of guy that goes around and tells people whose children were killed in massacres that they never existed. It's rather awful.
Okay, no idea what you're talking about, but jolly good.
You should watch it. I know you've been on Vice.
Who's been on Vice?
Nathan.
I have.
I don't even know what Vice is.
Vice Media.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, that seems to have killed the conversation.
Yeah, but I don't think we know what you're talking about, to be fair.
Well, you know all the like school massacres and things like that.
Oh, right, okay. Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
You want to go down Sandy Hook? I don't think...
No, I don't want to go down that route because I know it causes a lot of trouble. But there's several guys interviewed on there that approach the victims, the parents, ring them up and say their children didn't die, that they're crisis actors, and say they didn't exist. It's just awful viewing. I wonder what you think about that, because it seems to come from the same paranoid mindset. It must be an awful state of mind to be in.
Well, I think there's other places we could perhaps talk about this, except for on here, because it's not really appropriate to talk about that in here. Well, to be fair, I mean, I'm one of those people that believes that those events might not be as happened as being portrayed. So yeah. Well,
I'm just going to play you guys a very short video that I watched this morning, which is by Validation Boy.
Hello YouTube, Validation Boy here, and I'm back with some breaking intellectual news. In what is a truly shocking turn of events, it appears that one Mr. John LeBon has officially adopted Validation Boy's infamous intangible argument concerning the physical composition of so-called celestial objects. He has finally come to terms with the fact that I was right about this all along. He realizes that the concepts I proposed all those months ago are, in actuality, the most honest and prudent conclusions made to date concerning these matters. After all, no one has ever touched the sun, the moon, or any other alleged celestial object, and no one ever will. Because of this fact, there's truly no way of knowing exactly what it is we are looking at when we gaze into the skies. The alleged physical objects we perceive may be nothing more than optical illusions, or possibly even projections. Understand that proponents of the globe are limited exclusively to the use of these completely intangible entities to prove their ridiculous model. This is all they have, unexplainable shapes that hover somewhere above them. Keep in mind, these mysterious shapes can only be observed with one of our five senses. Such observations are therefore, by definition, non-empirical. And before you take a shit in my comment board with your predictable little fuck-knuckle bullshit, let me clarify something one more fucking time. The sun's rays are not the sun itself, just as the exhaust from your car's engine is not your car itself. We do not touch the fucking sun. So, once again, these untestable and intangible shapes are only observed with one of our five senses. Therefore, any claims, conclusions, or hypotheses concerning our cosmic reality based on these types of visual-only, non-empirical observations would be utter conjecture. Now, with John LeBon conceding and taking on Validation Boy's stance in this way, it could even be argued that he's now a flat earther by default, seeing as how Earth's flatness is actually something that's measurable, while Earth's curvature is not.
There you go, that's it.
Oh dear, he's like a rubbish Henry Rawlings of flat Earth.
Big shout out to Validation Boy, who is awesome.
Very poor.
Yeah, Validation Boy. I like his work. It's good. And he's pretty accurate when he says that it is only one sense that you actually view these things from. You know, your eyes.
So you don't feel the sun then? I thought you felt it really badly one time.
So when in the same way, it's just said. So if you felt exhaust smoke, are you feeling the car?
What kind of question's that?
A simple question that was specifically in the example just given. So if you feel the heat of the exhaust smoke, are you feeling the car?
No, you're feeling the byproduct of the car.
So there you go. You've just answered your own question.
I didn't ask a question.
Yeah, okay, maybe you made a statement about feeling the sun's rays.
Ranty did. He got burnt.
No, I made a statement about it was only one sense that we're actually seeing with the stars.
It's not like the eyes are separate, though, are they? They're connected to the brain.
Still one sense.
You think?
Well, you're not smelling the stars, are you?
I'd like to.
Is that so?
Jokes.
So what have you brought for us today, Ellen? Have you brought some proof of curvature?
I don't think I need to. I think you guys are going to believe what you're going to believe. You like to argue that everything else is wrong, but yet you've got nothing.
No, absolutely not at all. We have a very open mind for the concept. If you can bring to us proof of the curve, we'd love to see it.
I don't need to.
Why?
Well, I'm quite prepared and quite happy for you to believe whatever you want to believe.
It's not about us believing it, it's about you believing it. You're happy to believe curve, because that's all it is, a belief, Alan.
Why are you setting up a them and us situation?
Because there's them who believe in curve and us who do not.
Well, what does it matter? Still talking.
Because this is a flat earth debate show specifically about that topic, Alan. Yeah.
So far you've told us that you want to smell the stars and that I had sunburn once, but I thought you was actually going to bring something to the table.
Well, I was talking about the mindset of those people in that video, and it's very similar to the mindset of people in flat Earth. It's rather worrying.
No, that's
which video?
Really bad comparison.
You're just trying to ham-handedly change the subject onto auto-hoaxing, and we're talking about actual proof of Earth curve. Not something
Nathan,
that we believe in.
Nathan. Ranty did ask what question I brought, and I'm just stating that I have.
Well, it's not related to Arev's not going to be Arev. It's too early.
Yes, it is.
So, yeah. So, have you got any proof of Earth curve? We're not auto-hoaxing anything, we're asking for proof of something. So far...
Have you got any proof there isn't?
That's a stupid question. Hi, Dawn.
No, show me some flatness.
We might get some, given the amount of time that you guys have had to prove curvature. If we had the similar amount of time, 2,000 years, I'm pretty sure we'd come up with some. But let's face it, the onus of proof is on you guys, as it is the accepted standard that you live on a sphere. It'd be just nice to have some proof of what you accept as a belief.
If you want to see some flatness, just look at the background picture.
I'm not having it, Nathan. You've got nothing, and everything else is wrong.
Well, that's not true. So on screen right now, Alan, there's a picture of a sun, right? See the reflection of that sun coming towards your feet as the water comes up? That's physically impossible on a ball.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, it is.
You're looking at it now.
Okay, no problem. Replicate
Why don't you
a ball,
take a light,
giving
shine
you
it
that
on a
type of
ball, and then
reflection.
see
Simple.
how the reflection of that light looks?
All 25,000 miles in circumference. For me to try that with Owen.
No, it doesn't really matter. A ball is a ball, and a light is a light.
With water across the
It's
surface.
about the shape, not about how big it's supposed to be.
I think it might be. I think the size might matter a little
Shine
bit.
the light on a ball and see if you actually get a line of light like you're seeing right here.
25,000 mile circumference ball with water on it.
Yeah,
You can do
just
one of them if
see
you want,
if you're
Dawn.
gonna see a light line like you're seeing right here.
What about scale? Hey, Dawn, are you in the toilet or something? You sound awful.
Do I? Oh, maybe I'll change my settings, sorry.
Yeah, it sounds like you're coming through your webcam mic.
Sounds like you're in a public lavatory.
Webcam mics, they're awful. So, it seems, Alan, that it's not us that just deny everything that's presented, it's actually you. And it's not us with the belief, it's actually you.
I'm not denying anything. I think
You
I'm
did.
too old
I've
to
just
care.
presented something quite specific. It's on screen right now, and you denied it. So that's what you've just literally accused us of doing. Like auto-hoaxers? Well, not auto-hoax. That's what you get off. That's called a reflection. Right? Fairly standard stuff here. We're not exactly trying to break the mould with crazy way out the concepts. It's a reflection. You don't get those on balls. You get hotspots.
And besides, flat earthers actually do research. I don't think that the
don't
auto
think
hoaxer is
you
doing
guys-
it for the research. I think he's doing it for shock value to be sadistic bastards. He's not
agree.
actually going to look up the family, see if there's any record of these people, and then call them up because he has hints that they might actually not exist. I think that he's doing it for the sole purpose of making conspiracy theorists that believe that false flags happen.
Hello?
bad.
Hello.
That's why I think he's doing it.
Hi,
That's a
Numi.
good
Good to have
point.
you.
That's a good point, Owen.
Oh, I'm here twice now. What the fuck?
No, it's alright.
Sorry.
The other one will drop eventually. Don't worry, John.
Okay. Yeah, I was on
better.
my webcam. Sorry.
Miles better. Miles better.
Twice the fun.
So all I was saying, Arwen, is have you got a ball 25,000 miles in circumference with water on its surface for me to do the test?
Well, you can scale it now, can you?
And a small sun?
You can scale it. Did you not hear
the
his
funny
answer?
thing is about balls is that no matter really the size of the light or the size of the ball, the pattern of the reflection is always going to be the same. And you can test that by taking a small ball, shining a small light on it, and taking a big ball and shining a big light on it. It's going to yield the same visual result.
It's not though, is it? Because balls...
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
The scale matters, doesn't it, on balls?
Yeah, of course the scale matters, but the thing is
why are
the
you telling us
reflection's
to do an
always going
experiment?
to be the same pattern.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, it is.
See what I
My
mean,
wife
Alan?
used to say
So it's not
scale
us being
matters.
contrarians here. Talking about simple stuff. Simple
You're a
stuff.
reflection
You're just
expert now,
auto-hoaxers. You're just auto-deniers. You globers just want to accept the things that are told to you and nothing else. Nothing outside that little tiny box you're given. Oh, lost my hangout. Or have I just stunned you all to silence?
Yeah. I can't provide you proof of Earth's curve today, Nathan. Sorry. I tried
That's all right.
the other day.
You
Didn't
can
work.
be a believer. Oh, God. Troll attack.
Like Alan said, we don't really need to, do we? Like, you've got a sunset on screen now.
You don't really
You don't
need
have
to.
to.
Of course
You can believe you live on a sphere if you want to. You can have that belief. Like people believing in Jesus and various other things. You can believe in whatever you like. Just don't
Right.
assert it as a fact. Don't assert it as my reality, because it isn't.
But you're saying there is no curve, and that's a fact. So you're asserting a fact as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's not fair, is it? If you call ours a belief, but yours is a fact.
Well, you've had the entire body of science backing it up for 2,000 years, Dawn, so I would expect your standards of scientific proof to be established by your religion, but it isn't. So
Right.
asking me, a videographer, to come up with scientific proof, that's unreasonable, my friend.
Get out. What a great get out.
But you're asking me, a
What do you
DJ,
mean, what a
to
great
provide
get-out?
proof of Earth's curvature.
Sorry, what do you mean, what a great get out?
You're asking me, a pensioner, to provide Earth curvature.
No,
So it's not fair-
not
it's
at
not
all.
fair request,
no,
mate.
no. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking you to go
No,
and
no,
cite
don't.
what the 2,000 years of globe belief has actually provided the world. Not
2,000
you.
years.
I'm not asking you for anything, Alan. You go away if you want. You can have a day, Alan. Just to make it clear what I'm asking you for. You can go and research what 2,000 years of globe understanding has provided the world as proof. That's what you can do. You don't have to do anything yourself personally.
Who's Haunted House 2?
Troll.
No, what we're saying is that if you went to go and buy a car, for instance, and they said in the manual that it could do 200 miles an hour, or it could go from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, right? Would you just take the word of the...
Hello, Sleeping Warrior? Yes, it is him.
Yes, it's me.
Looks like it.
Would you just take the word of the car salesman, or would you like to go and test it for yourself and see whether it actually does what it says on the manual?
Well, yeah, it's fun to drive a car fast, isn't it? But if they showed me a video and like a speedometer inside, and it looked like it was going 200 mile an hour, I might be convinced.
Is that so, Dawn? So, have you seen any adverts for cars recently?
No, I don't really watch adverts.
No. But are you aware that there are advertisements currently running for automobiles? Are you aware of that?
Yes, I've seen.
And have at any stage in the last 5 years caught your eye? In other words, have you seen a car on a screen that is being advertised for sale?
Yes.
Right. And would you say, in your honest opinion, that the car on screen was actually a car or not?
I'd say most of the time, yeah.
Wrong. That's because you're a moron and you accept things on face value. In the last 5 years, there's been basically no cars in any car adverts. They are all 100% CGI. They don't film cars. It's far too expensive, far cheaper.
What?
Oh, yeah. Right. You're shocked, are you, dickhead? That's because you're a
shocked.
moron and you accept everything you see on TV because you're an idiot. Yeah, cars on TV aren't really cars. The adverts you see for your brand new spanking Kia aren't real, you moron.
I am shocked.
Yeah, well, that's because you're a moron and you accept everything on face value that you see on TV. That's why I use it as an example.
Do you want to show one on screen? I
don't need to. I know this. You can go and, like you've just asked me to prove Earth curve isn't there, right? You don't have to take my word for it. Yeah? Don't have to trust me or Man in White Coat or what's written on in a book or what's on TV, Dawn. You can check it out for yourself.
Okay.
Jesus, you sound paranoid.
So
I'm not
fake
paranoid.
cars.
I just know for a fact that car adverts don't contain cars anymore. It's all CGI. Yet you guys want to believe you've been to the moon and you've got Earth curve because someone's told you and you've seen it on TV.
Being honest, Nathan, I haven't watched a proper car advert in quite a few years, so you might be right, but so what?
But at face value, just asked a simple question, do you think the cars on car adverts are real? You said yes. Because
Equally,
you just
why
don't
should
give it
anybody
much
take
thought.
anything that you say at face value?
You don't have to. I've just said that. Did you not hear that, Alan, when I said go and check it out for yourself?
It's not. Then
Did you not hear me?
Assuming that if you can see the moon, it must be a ball of dirt is also a little bit silly.
It's a disc, isn't it? A hologram. Nathan doesn't believe that. He knows it's a sphere.
Yes.
So have we settled that one then?
I think so, Riley.
Well, not really. No, not really.
Well, I want Oakley to bring up 2 CGI car adverts, and then I'll bring up 2 with real cars, maybe. And then we can settle it.
Well, the question wasn't really that, though, was it? It was, are you just going to believe that somebody else tells you that this can do this, or do you want to actually go and test it yourself?
It's different with different things.
Yeah, well, where we're going out and testing and finding the Earth to be flat, we're asking you to produce evidence of the curve. Yes, we are.
Nowhere near doing that. Sorry.
Nowhere near.
Absolutely are.
No, you're not. You show obstruction in nearly all your videos.
No.
That's not doubt.
Oh, shit.
Ranty, can I ask you a quick question? Don't matter.
Go on.
I was going to say, you know, in the back chat, when you open up the back chat window, do you always get the participants list, or do you have to try about 10 times before you get it?
About 6-7 times, and I get it.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? All right. I got a question for Dawn and Alan B. You guys are familiar with the claim of Wolfie 6020 about the ETVOS effect? Correct?
The what effect?
The ETVOS, though the ETVOS, I don't care how you pronounce it, EOT.
No, I have absolutely no idea. That sounds made up.
Yeah, it does sound made up. You're right. I agree. The claim is from Wolfie 6020 that you can get a weight and you can travel east or west and it'll fluctuate the weight of the object on a set of scales due to the rotation of the Earth caused by centrifugal force. In essence, if you travel with the spin of the Earth, you increase your centrifugal force and the weight of the object gets lighter. If you travel against the spin of the Earth, you reduce your centrifugal force and your weight gets heavier.
So
Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've heard of that. I've seen YouTube videos of it as well.
Alan B, have you heard of it?
I have, yes.
And do you both accept that that's true?
Yes.
I don't mind either way. If you can prove it's not true, then
sure, I can prove it's not true. But what I'm asking is, do you accept that it's true in terms of it proves the rotation of the Earth?
No.
Excellent.
Sounds a silly way to prove the rotation.
I'd agree. I'd agree, because on the one hand, the spin of the Earth is claimed to be so slow that we could never measure it. And on the other hand, when you actually do the math and work out the actual speed of the circumference based on the radius of the Earth, it turns out to be just over 1,000 miles an hour, which is quite a high number, and we should be able to measure that.
Isn't there like amateur scientists doing it on YouTube all over?
Just for people who are watching on screen now, the making of a car advert. All
cool.
CGI.
Yeah, that's one of the futuristic ones, isn't it? Where they obviously
futuristic. They're just driving on a road. What are you talking about? It's just a road.
That's obviously CGI.
That's a slit road. That's a bridge. This isn't futuristic in the slightest. They're not driving on space roads, idiot. They're just driving.
I'm watching it be
This is
made
how car
graphically.
adverts are made, Dawn. Most people just think that these people are in cars. They're not.
This is not all car adverts.
Right, okay.
Also, I don't really mind to disagree on this. I might as well just accept that all car adverts are CGI. I don't
That's
care.
not the point I'm making. That wasn't my point at all. My point was your immediate answer was to accept that the cars were real. That's the point. Not that they're CGI, that your acceptance level is, if it's on screen and it looks real, you will accept that it's real.
Yeah, but you know
That's
I'm more
my
of a
point.
skeptic than that.
You are my example, Dawn. It's not the advert that's my example. You're my example. Me proving my point to you was just to prove my point to you. But you are the example of people who just accept what they see.
But I'm telling you now, I don't just accept what I see.
You did. I did it specifically with you because I know you're an idiot. So having asked you the question, do you see a car when you see a car advert, you chuckled and then said yes. Because obviously it's a car, right? No, it's not. Most people like you just accept what they see.
I'm sure I
even though
can
it's
find
not
9
real.
car adverts that all look real right now.
All right, well, you just watch the International Space Station and it all looks like they're going in space, doesn't it?
Do you want me to look up some car adverts with real cars, or should we move on?
Dawn, no. No, you didn't even have the first thought that any cars could be fake. Not the first thought. You laughed and said, well, of course they're real. Because in your mind, a car on a screen is just a car on a screen.
Right.
And a spaceship on a screen is just a spaceship on a screen, right, Dawn?
I'm done with the CGI car adverts.
Yes, you crack on, Tony.
Is Nathan done, though? That's the question.
I hope so.
I accept you showed me 1 car advert with CGI.
And she asked me that dumb question at the end. Well, how come I?
There she is. That's the
Hello, Debbie D.
most extreme contrarian case I've ever seen in Flat Earth. Over 14 months. Debbie Duran.
That's not the real one, though, is it?
Probably not, no.
If it was, she'd be disagreeing with me by now.
So, let's just get back on track. So, now that I've proven that you can just accept what you see on screen, Dawn, specifically.
You have not proven that. All you showed me was
I did
one
unequivocally prove that by demonstration.
CGI.
So by demonstration, I asked you a question, you gave me an answer, then I proved you wrong. That's what happened. So I'm now going to ask a different question. Just try and pay attention to the question this time, Dawn. So given the fact that you can be mistaken by CGI that looks very realistic, do you still accept, without any verification whatsoever, that what you see on NASA pictures is real?
Obviously not.
Excellent.
But your question was, do you believe car adverts use real cars?
That was my first question.
Because
then I gave a
they modeled the CGI car on a car.
Yeah, that was my first question by example, and you did very well, Dawn. Thank you for being my guinea pig.
Crack on, Tony. Second chance. Go.
Hello, Rumpus. Have you brought with us some scientific proof of Earth curvature, I hope?
Sorry, I missed that.
Scientific proof of Earth curvature. Do you have any?
No, Rumpus, no.
Say no, Rumpus. Say no.
Well, I have
Please.
access to.
No, say no.
The answer's no.
No.
Awesome. We want to see it. We want to see it. Come on, Rumpus.
They don't want to see it. They want to laugh at it.
Somebody snipe the Rumpus.
Thanks, Alan. I was also. Yes, I think I can.
No. It's no. No.
Well, the thing is, if you're a hyper skeptic, which I think Nathan is in regard to this, then, as I say, you can't prove anything. I mean, if you
Yes, you can. Things are proved all the time. We all understand what the word proof is, and given that on previous shows you have stated unequivocally that there is an entire body of a certain group of people, oh, that would be it, science, that are backing this assertion, I would assume it was very easy to acquire proof from that body of people. So, do you have any?
For reasonable people, I do. But I can illustrate what you're doing. Let's say I could prove, for instance, that you don't know that your name.
Sorry, for reasonable
Oakley,
people.
If that's what you believe
What do you
your
mean,
name
reasonable people?
I can show you can't prove that your name is Nathan Oakley, assuming that is what you think it is.
Right. I'm not asking for proof of me being Nathan Oakley. I'm asking for an adherence to the scientific method that proves we live on a sphere.
No.
No, you're not, because you don't know what the scientific method is.
Right. What do you mean I'm not? I know what I'm asking, Rumpus. Don't be so bloody arrogant. I know precisely the words that are coming out of my mouth, and I'm going to say them again. What I want from you is proof. Proof that has come from science. And the way I will test it is with a specific yardstick. The yardstick of science. That would be the scientific method. Okay, Rumpus?
You can't apply a yardstick you don't understand.
I'll apply it once you present it. So far, not so good. You've presented nothing.
You don't. Yes, but the point is I've presented lots of information, but you then apply the scientific methods you call it.
Yeah, so when I ask for scientific proof, yeah, I'm going to apply the scientific method to see if it's followed. The method of science. Shock horror, Rumpus. Shock horror.
Shall we apply the scientific method to the sunset on screen? That might be interesting.
Yeah, go
ahead. I'd also like to dispute the 846 is a well-known thing, and Anthony's completely wrong. He doesn't understand how these the relative force of gravity and centrifugal force.
We seem to be talking about gravity now, Rumpus.
Yeah,
I know I've
that
asked you this in excess of 100 times. So why would you be talking about gravity, something that's completely off topic? I've asked you this 100 times. You've asserted the entire body of science is behind your assertion. Now prove it.
Well, the trouble is I'm proving it to you, and that's not possible because you don't know.
No, this is a live show. There are currently 117 people watching. So you're not trying to prove it to me. You're trying to prove it to me and 117 people watching. Is that the real Issa?
Yes.
Hey, Issa. So right, no, not to me, Rumpus.
Have you got scientific proof of Earth's curve for Nathan and Issa?
No, however, I've come to help my newfound brothers on the ball side.
That's what I mean, yeah.
With their argumentation about these most contentious set of facts.
So can you ask Issa the question, Nathan, and see if he responds better than Rumpus?
I'm trying to help out our brothers here on Earth. So, Nathan, fire away.
I'm asking Rumpus.
Yeah, that's fine.
You had Rumpus for days and days.
Well,
yeah, and he has asserted that the entire body of science is behind this assertion. So far, he hasn't given us anything that backs that.
Here's an interesting thing. Here's the interesting thing is that, like, say, like Rumpus, like, you can't really prove what you're referring to. However, it could be thought of as a line of questioning that see, Dawn, you're forgetting the line I gave you yesterday. If I wouldn't have come in here, she'd have just said.
Oh, yeah. Oh, now you remind me. So don't.
All right.
Let me.
All right. Well, I'll let you say the first part.
You want me to say it now? Oh, I'll have to remember it now.
Well, the trouble is...
I know you. I thought. Hold on. The thing is, usually you're supposed to start off with.
Oh, I was going to save it until.
Okay. All right. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Is that, like, look, it's that there is an optical phenomena that's happening at a certain distance, and the thing is that, and now you have to take into consideration. I am arguing for the ball at this point because I've decided that we need to just freshen up all sides of this discussion. So if it's like, you're arguing for the ball, the thing is that as opposed to, because a lot of flat earthers may not be.
Oh my God, get to the point. I'm getting teeth. Jesus.
Can you just let him?
Hang on, I don't think the Rumpus can call anybody for.
Exactly.
I have content. I may go on, but I have content. There's no content so
Rumpus,
far from Izza.
We're on the same Rumpus. We're on the same team.
Yeah, I know you are, but for God's sake, get on with it.
I remember the point now.
Okay, so the point is this:
You're telling him to get on with it. That's
all right. Here you go. Here you go. Okay, most people are under the impression that the only way to measure the Earth is this 8 inches per mile squared. When you have this alternative way, which would be 69 miles for 1 degree of arc. Now the thing is that because we come under an optical phenomena, how dare any of us presuppose any kind of position? And let's say arguing for the balls today, I would say, how dare we go against the by using this optical phenomena, are we not conflating the issue against a very well-positioned, standard accepted model?
That was
and
almost
would we not be a bit misleading?
As bad as the flat earthers explanation.
I remember what Ice's point was now. It was, how dare you say there's no proof of Earth's curvature with everything science has done over this many years? How dare you?
So present it. And we'll have a little look at it, Dawn. Just telling me how dare you is just ridiculous. I don't mind you saying it because it's ridiculous, but first you must present something before you can say how dare you reject it. And so far, nothing's been presented. No evidence of a scientific nature has been presented of Earth curvature. None.
Ranty, your problem is you don't understand the maths and the physics and even things beyond scale diagrams. And so it's very difficult to get through to you.
I understand that yesterday you said an authoritative witness would be able to validate that they went to the moon. Well, guess what? Your authoritative witnesses, the astronauts themselves, some reporter asked them to put the hand on the Bible, 7 of them, and all of them refused.
That's because it was a wanker who was asking.
I don't care who it was.
And they thought, I'm not going to engage with this wanker.
His wanker and his mother and his family, they all paid for him to go to the moon. They all paid, in their taxes, they paid for that gentleman to take foot and go to the moon and represent his country. The least he could have done was just put his hand on the Bible and let everything go to rest.
Ranty,
none of them did.
Ranty, if someone came up,
no.
Ranty, hold on, let me speak, Ranty. Have a go.
Witnesses,
hold on, I'll address this
first hand. Now they were the first hand people that actually went to the moon.
Ranty,
more first hand than that. So when we ask the most first handed people, can you prove to us that you went to the moon, or at least put your hand on the Bible?
Have you seen all 10?
None of them did it.
Ranty, if I was to come up to you and say, prove you're not a paedophile and put your hand on the Bible, do you tell me to get lost, sod off? What right have you got to ask me such a stupid question?
There's a difference between what I would do and what these astronauts did.
They did exactly what I would do when some git comes up to me and make a stupid point and say, sod off, I'm not interested in you.
Some of the interviews were prearranged. He didn't just go up to them. He did in some instances. Hold on, sorry. Some of the interviews were prearranged.
Yes, they were.
Oh, not with some guy who's going to charge them with the Bible thing. Or at least they didn't know that's what he was going to do.
Well, yeah, but that's often the case in interviews. You don't know necessarily everything that's going to happen.
I don't think it was a one-on-one interview, was it, in this case?
A lot of them were one-on-one interviews.
No, but they were people
even went to their own homes.
Do you have all 10 on film refusing?
The point is, Ranty, how about this, though? But Ranty, would you want someone coming up to you and saying, put your hand on the Bible, saying that you think, that...
Do you know something? Right, Easter, that wouldn't bother me in the slightest. If I had actually gone to the moon and I knew that this was going to be shown around the world, I wouldn't want to pull a gun out on them, or I wouldn't say I'm going to shoot them, or I wouldn't kick them up the arse.
No, but you have to, Ranty, how about this, though? Hold on, guys.
No.
Hey, let me help out the ball.
Ken Burns on the Bible.
Don't talk all over each other.
Going to the moon.
One at a time, please.
Ranty, how about this, though? If I came up to you and I said, prove to me that you got sunburned from the chemtrails on this Bible, or else, what do you call it? Do you think, how about this? Am I not calling you a liar?
No, but if you said to me, did I
What do you mean, no?
Wait a minute, no. If you said to me, put my hand on the Bible and say that I went to Hoy Lake and saw Blackpool Tower from Hoy Lake, I would put my hand on the Bible and say, I went to Hoy Lake and I saw Blackpool Tower from Hoy Lake.
What about the Ken Burns? Would you swear on the Bible?
Not a problem. There's a difference between actually knowing where you have been and being what you think might have happened to you.
Would you swear on the Bible that you got Ken Burns?
If you actually have, you're not paying attention, are you? If you've physically been somewhere, if you've been strapped into a rocket and you've been sent to the moon and you've flown through infinite space to get to the damn moon, and then you've danced around the moon, played golf, danced around your Zoom book.
Hypothetically, if you went to the moon,
and then you've
swear on
come
the
back.
Bible.
Listen, then you've got back in your rocket and you've come through space again and you've entered through the fucking the atmosphere, burning up.
Yeah, you made your point, Ranty. You're boring us to death now. Yeah, you've made your point.
And somebody said to you, just put your hand on the Bible and say you went to the moon.
Are you aware of the most famous example of this, where some guy who'd been harassing was it Buzz Aldrin for years and years? Let me finish my sentence. Ranty, you've had about 10 minutes. Let me have a sentence. He was hassling the guy, Buzz Aldrin. He was hassling them repeatedly in meetings and things, hassling him over phones, communicating with him, saying, I don't believe you, I don't believe you. And he then rushed up to him and said, here, put your hand on this Bible and tell me you've been to the moon. It was all part of a process of aggravating this guy. And naturally, Buzz Aldrin then punched him. Exactly what I would do.
What about the other 6 then?
Okay, well, I don't know the exact example. That's the most famous example.
Right, what about there were pre-arranged interviews for several of the incidents, so they knew they were going to be interviewed, and they ended the interview at the point that he asked them to basically swear on the Bible that they went to the moon.
Yeah, but the thing is, you know that someone is doing that, doesn't believe what you're saying, they're out to catch you, and you can say, I'm not going to interact with you because you're a git. And therefore...
Sorry, just saying somebody's trying to out to catch you what? If somebody's been to the moon, and they're a God-fearing man, as the Americans phrase it, why wouldn't you? Why would you think at that point that they're trying to catch you out? Because clearly, if you've done something and you've got no objection and somebody says put your hand on the Bible and swear you've done it, you just go, yeah, all right, no worries, what's the issue? I don't really understand why that would be any sort of issue.
I didn't hear any of that. You interrupted me, so I didn't hear any of what you said.
Ranty, would you put your hand on a Bible and say...
I'm not a paedophile.
Oh, no, don't do it.
Yeah, I just tried to say how annoying it would be to an astronaut to have some git come up to you.
No. There's no professional paedophiles out there. These men are supposed to have been to space. He's asking them specifically if they did the thing they're supposed to have done. That's not the same as asking somebody if they've committed a crime, now is it?
Aye, sir. Whatever you do, don't get your guitar out.
No, hold on. That's a completely unfair example. That's an unfair example to say that it's comparable to somebody who's committed a crime. This is the actual job they were tasked with.
Will he swear on the Bible?
This was the actual job they were tasked with.
Accusing you, saying I'm not believe anything you've said. I'm going to disbelieve what you said, and because I disbelieve what you said, I'm going to demand you give a proof of it. And that's basically
that's absolutely reasonable.
I'm calling you a liar.
That's absolutely reasonable if you think someone's lying.
No, you wouldn't.
That's reasonable if you think someone's lying, and I do think they're lying, and so did Bart Sibrel.
What about Ranty and his Ken Burns? Do you think he was lying? Did he swear on the Bible?
But I'm not talking about that. That's subjective.
I'm asking you.
That's subjective.
If he knew,
No. That is subjective. That isn't actually the same as saying to me, have I been to London? Or have I been to Scotland?
Nobody else did.
Wait a minute. Or have I been to France?
Here.
Yeah, but why would you swear on something you would believe? That doesn't make any sense.
Hello, Mr. Grimm.
My pussies.
Hey, Grimm, recognise.
Well, he got burned, didn't he, Owen? So I'm asking...
Yeah,
Yes,
well, if he
subjective
then went to a
as to
doctor
how.
and
Will
he
he swear
proved
on
that
the
it was
Bible
actual
that it's Ken
chemical burns that could be related to the substances that people say are being chemtrailed, then yes,
so
then he would have something.
They're trying to derail the point here.
So you don't want to swear on the Bible, just like the astronauts?
You asked me to put my hand on the Bible, say, did I go to Hoy Lake? Or have I been to London? Or have I been to Scotland? No.
Do you believe you got
because that is something that I've physically done.
Yes or no?
Physically done.
Ken Burns, yes
No,
or
but that's
no?
ridiculous. Why would you swear on something that you believe?
It's not the same.
Ranty, let's suppose I've been hassling you.
He was simply asked.
Hold on, Ranty. If I've been hassling you for weeks and weeks about this and saying you're a liar, you wouldn't bother to interact with me at all. You'd tell me to get lost, wouldn't you? Hold on, Ranty. Let me make the point.
No.
If I've been harassing you, hold on, Ranty.
You are harassing me right now.
Right. Well, I'm trying to ask you a question. You're not letting me ask it. If I've been harassing you over this issue, calling you a liar for weeks and weeks, months, possibly years, you would not wish to have any interaction with me at all.
Sorry, is that the case? Is that the case that Bart Sibrel has been contacting these astronauts for years?
He had been harassing them. The guy who got punched by Buzz Aldrin has had years of campaigning of harassing Buzz Aldrin in various ways, and then eventually
that's one of them. We've just gone through this. You're making out like it's all of them, and I've said it several times. Some of them had got pre-arranged interviews with him, with cameramen set up. Scheduled.
Well, perhaps once they realised what sort of character he was and who he was.
What do you mean?
They weren't aware
what
who
sort
he
of
was.
character? He asked them to swear on the Bible they'd been to the moon.
Imagine if somebody out of the blue just came. Like, imagine somebody who trolls you online came up and was automatically like, did you tell me the shape of the earth and put your hand on the Bible? You'd be like, yo, are you the dude who's been following me online? Fuck you. So there's total respect.
No. So that's
Listen,
you're just making it.
Listen, bro,
That's
hold
not
on,
an
Ranty.
excuse.
You have to
That's
look at it
logical.
objectively, bro.
Yeah,
You
but
have
would
to
you
look
punch
at it
that guy?
objectively?
Would you
Like,
just
if
refuse to
somebody
do
was
it?
harassing the guy and they rolled up on him in the middle of the street, I might fucking knock somebody out.
What if he doesn't even believe in the Bible?
We're talking about. Listen, wait. Well, hang on, wait a minute.
Yeah, but
We're
there's a
talking
difference
about
between refusing
gentlemen
and
that-
punching.
Listen, well, hang on, wait a minute. We've been talking about not just your everyday people. We're talking about guys that have been psychologically evaluated. Can they cope with all the pressures of going to space, being to space? These guys are highly trained. They're not your average.
Yeah,
Joe.
let them rest,
They're the
Randy.
best-
Let them rest. Let them take a break, all right?
Yeah, they can identify
Listen to the
git when they see one.
So when they have the opportunity to lay this to rest,
They wouldn't.
by
The guy was a
simply putting the
git.
hand on
The guy was a
Bible.
git. He wouldn't lay it to rest. He knew that I would not lay it to rest.
Because he knew that they hadn't been. Why do you think none of them put their hand on the Bible?
Because they're dealing with
Have you got footage of
I
all
would do it.
10 refusing?
Listen.
Anyway, this is all tangent. This is all a rubbishy argument. Anyway, who said?
Listen to me.
We're trying to deal here with psychology of the astronauts. This is all irrelevant.
How do you know all 10 said no to the Bible thing?
Why can't we deal with something more substantive than whether someone had wanted to say this or not about some of the actual evidence, proper evidence?
Well, no, you said that we needed to ask an authoritative witness.
Correct.
So when these authoritative witnesses were asked, none of them.
Yeah, but look at it like this.
Willing to
How about
lay
this,
it
though?
on
Look
the
at it,
Bible
Randy.
and say they
Randy,
went.
I started thinking like this, though. And Twit makes a good point. And this is kind of where I was going with it. Is that why do you think a liar would care about putting his hand on the Bible? And actually, the fact that he didn't put his hand on the Bible and says it speaks more about his character. Actually, if you look at it in total.
That's quite a good point.
If you look at it,
Not everyone
Look,
cares about the Bible.
exactly.
No,
You gotta
it's
give him
about
the respect of,
liability.
like, look, how about this though, Ranty?
The
Look
Bible
like this.
doesn't mean anything liable to me.
Let-
I don't care.
Right. So if Don doesn't give a shit, he'll fucking say he married Santa
No
Claus'
swearing,
wife.
please.
Fucking the pardon my language. But the idea is that it shows that he's an honorable man by not having maybe taken that oath, and also it shows the dishonor in Sabrell having approached him in such a way. And then you look at that video on the way to the funny thing happened on the way to the moon, and there's manipulation in some of the shots in some of that movie that would lead one to believe maybe he had an agenda when he made that movie, right, Ranty?
No, I don't believe it. I believe with my own eyes, and I believe that as a human being, if I had been somewhere and I was lucky enough to have been sent to the moon, I would happily go around touching every Bible in the world, swearing that I had been to the moon.
Unlucky it wasn't you that did it, so.
Yeah, unlucky, yes.
Doesn't really matter.
Even if it was by someone who you regarded as malicious and who's attempting to.
I wouldn't care who it was, because I would be rubbing it in the face and loving
Exactly.
it.
Well, you'd want to silence your skeptics, wouldn't you?
Perhaps the first time when they met this guy, he might have been reasonable.
Well, that's
but
the
after
problem.
a couple
But
of
here's
years,
the thing, though, Ranty. Look at
I
the
suspect
caliber.
he said, no, I won't.
Pete, why are you just going on about one? How about 7?
Okay, that's the one that I'm familiar with.
All right.
Maybe
Well,
some of
I
them
don't
did
know
swear
about
on the Bible and they just didn't include that bit of the film.
Oh, really? So that footage is just not out
Alan,
there at all.
Alan, sorry, just for Alan, bear with me, sorry. Just want to ask Alan something.
Ranty, I
Notice
don't necessarily regard individuals as terribly authoritative.
Is Alan
but
going to pull this?
institutions-
Alan,
Wait a minute.
hello?
Hold on. Let me finish my sentence, Ranty. Let me finish my sentence, goddammit. Where they've got peer review, we've got multiple people giving independent lines of evidence. That's what I call a reliable, authoritative witness. And we have that from various space agencies from around the world, taking photographs of the landings on the moon. And we have pictures that you couldn't fake at that time and can barely fake
You
now.
couldn't fake. What do you mean you couldn't fake? What a load of nonsense. Why do you
Not in
insert such
1960s
nonsense?
manure.
So 2001 A Space
1960s you
Odyssey,
could
that
do.
wasn't faking
Yes, we've got
space then.
footage from
That
the
was real.
60s, Nathan.
Hold on, Rumpus.
We've got
have you
footage from the
have you seen A
1960s?
Space Odyssey, Rumpus?
Yes, that required a whole film set and millions.
Sorry,
and
you said it
millions
was
of pounds.
impossible to fake. So are you now saying that 2001 was real?
Requires a lot of money. Ooh, that's a lot.
So was 2001 real?
Jodrell Bank.
I have a video here of
You're not
an
answering
astronaut
me,
swearing on a
Rumpus.
Bible.
You're not
if
answering
anyone's
me. Was
Jodrell
2001
Bank
real?
actually monitored-
Rumpus, can you stop
Thanks,
talking
Don.
and listen?
Jodrell Bank actually monitored the flight
You're
of
not
Apollo
answering
to
my
the moon.
question. was
Which
2000.
Because you keep interrupting me, Nathan. I never hear what you're asking me because you keep on interrupting me when I started.
Maybe if you let him finish his sentence.
Yeah, but I'm the one who I never want to get to finish a bloody sentence. That Arwen, not I. Wait, don't interrupt, bloody Nathan.
Right, if you interrupt me again, Rumpus, I'll kick you out. So listen to my question.
Well, yeah, but Rumpus,
So I didn't hear that either.
even worse.
Hold on, Issa. I need to. Right, so 2001: A Space Odyssey. You said it was impossible to fake at the time. So therefore, by that standard, 2001 was real. Correct, Rumpus?
Well, there wasn't a valid fake. You could tell it was fake. It wasn't real.
Sorry, so it's not impossible to fake then?
No, it was in 1960s.
Sorry.
2001
was filmed in the 1960s. I'll ask again. So 2001 was real because by your standards, it was impossible to fake.
I said it wasn't real. It did not constitute a fake because it wasn't good enough.
Right. So you can say that it was fake because you know it's fake, but the space that you saw from NASA wasn't fake or was real because you know it's real. So you can just discern the difference.
Of independent evidence that point to it being real, including monitoring from Jodrell Bank on the Apollo mission, the pictures from the Japanese space agencies who've got the pictures of the lunar modules. We've got millions of people who are involved in it, none of which have claimed that it was fake. All the independent lines of evidence say it is real.
And how many of them have you personally verified, Rumpus? How many have you actually gone out and done yourself?
Right, this is always the question you ask, have I done it? But I am prepared to accept authoritative and reliable witnesses to things.
So you're prepared to appeal to authority. I understand that you're prepared to appeal to authority, Rumpus. That much is obvious. I've just asked you a different question. What have you verified for yourself?
Have you verified China exists for yourself?
Yes, I've been there.
Okay, what about...
Sorry, so I've just answered your question, and you haven't answered mine.
Yeah, but hold on. Do you accept Mongolia?
Not but hold on.
Yeah, no, there's a principle I'm trying... there's a principle I'm trying to...
No, I've answered your question.
We haven't got to that yet.
Have you verified any of this for yourself, Rumpus? I've asked it twice, and I've answered your question about verifying China, somewhere we can all go if we choose to. So have you been to the moon?
But do you accept the existence of places you haven't been to?
Answer my question. Have you
I'm sorry, I
verified
didn't hear your
it?
question because you're interrupting me.
I've asked it twice. I'm going to ask it a third time, and you're interrupting me. If you
Well,
interrupt me
Rumpus,
one more
it's a
time,
poor
Rumpus, I'm going to kick you out.
This is why we got to clean up our.
No, it's a very good argument because
the problem is that you
Nathan
think it
adopts
is.
the principle
The
that
problem is that you think it is, bro. That's the point. I'm here to help, man.
Yeah, that's
I'm
the
here to help,
problem.
man. You guys have been failing.
Therefore, if you take
guys
that
are
principle,
making so many flatters
say the
because
places
you never
he
know when
hasn't
to
been
shut up
to,
and you just
he
over
doesn't
talk
do
everybody.
Rumpus, you continue talking over Issa.
And then you keep on never fucking
Right,
stopping.
this is your last
You
chance.
look like a fool.
Flaw in his argument. And then, so we can identify a flaw in his argument.
Shut up, Rumpus. You make ballers look stupid.
Bye-bye, Rumpus.
Hooray!
I'm surprised.
Retard, man. We're trying to win this, guys.
Why would someone snipe Rumpus? I mean...
I kicked him out. I warned him 3 times. If he keeps talking over people, I'll kick him out.
So, Issa.
Oi.
What's Tim really like? I know he said he's never coming back here again, but he'll probably be here later.
He's a darling. He's a sweetheart. I met him when I was out in Colorado. He's cool people.
I found a video of an astronaut swearing on the Bible.
That's
I don't
all
know
good.
I don't know if it's real or not, but Randy, you can take a look.
Well, if there's CGI and commercials, we don't know what to take for real anymore. The thing is, my question's been like this: like, coming on because I'm going to argue for the ballers now. Because the thing is, I
want you though. Go.
You know what? Nobody wants me. Hold on. The thing is, it's like this: is that like I'm used to. Oh wow, I'm back on the regular mainstream. It's so great. Like a what do you call it? So the thing is,
don't get the guitar out.
Well, there's you didn't hear my song NASA Come Take Me Home?
I don't want to either. Awful.
It's great.
The great
point
song,
is this, what
Nobody
I'm
likes
saying is that
a
you're dealing with
turncoat.
optical phenomena, and you're dealing with third-party information. So coming into the ball, it's like, here's my point. One of these days, flat earthers are going to figure out that gravity just means weight, and that the real problem for us guys is that our thing is that we believe in gravitation, but our thing is we only got one experiment, and that's the Cavendish one. And so I was thinking we need to bolster that one up a little bit, because I feel like I'm looking to the ammo of my ballers model over here, and it just seems like there really isn't. We're going to work with what we got, but the point is that we need a little bit like upkeep in how we handle this discussion, because it doesn't matter what side you're coming from. If you behave like a lunatic, then you're making the whole argument look bad. Like for me, it's like I've recognized that hey, you know, I don't think flat Earth is going to get a fair shake from even the people who espouse flat Earth half the time, because they don't listen to really how to debate or learn about any of some of the more interesting parts of this discussion, or how to maybe change someone's opinion about it. So I think, you know, if you're going to make a bold statement and go against the standard academic system, then, you know what I mean, you've got to be able to argue it well. And it looks like the ship of, you know, certain ships out here are having a hard time floating. So I think, you know, with it just being a standard accepted fact that everyone agrees and knows that it's a ball, the problem is that our main thing for ball earthers is that the average flat earther knows more about cosmology than the average ball earther.
So we've got about an hour left, maybe a little bit less on this live stream. I hope you're enjoying the debate thus far. If you're new to the channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. Most importantly though, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next show. Please also share the show, as this increases the live audience, of course, and that in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. That's a shout out to the 100 or so subscribers who've subscribed in the last couple of weeks. As I say, there is about an hour left on this live stream.
Defend Rumpus's point, I'm not anyway.
Yeah. You know, I mean, how can you say that they are an authoritative witness?
Move on, Rumpus is
the astronaut.
Move on, Rumpus is gone. Rumpy McPumpy's left.
He's on your team, so I'm not.
Rumpy McPumpy's left the room.
And yeah, I don't want.
You can have Isa. No, you can have Rumpus. We'll have Isa.
No, we don't want Isa. He's a turncoat.
Is Isa?
Hang on. He said you can have Rumpus. We'll have Isa. We don't want Rumpus.
You've got Rumpus.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But we don't want him.
It's done now.
At least Isa lets other people finish their stuff.
Tony, you've got Rumpus. You got a spare room?
We'll have CGI Numinum.
So just, Alan, you came in and were talking about auto hoaxes and such. So
yes,
Ranty's brought up the fact that these people wouldn't swear on the Bible, just admit that they'd done something they were paid to, a huge amount of money, something that was very aspirational to many people at the time, yet they wouldn't just say, yes, I'd done it. Yet you guys are automatically just prepared to find an explanation, find an excuse for this. So
no, Nathan, I think if you watch those videos of that guy trying that...
Yeah, I have.
I have watched it. It was a good film, that Vice film. They showed both sides quite well, I think.
Yes, I enjoyed it. It was rather dark and disturbing.
Yes,
we're talking about the guys who would not swear on the Bible.
I'll go back to that. But that guy that Buzz Aldrin annoyed, and that's an old guy punching somebody.
Punching somebody because he asked him to swear on the Bible that he'd been to the moon.
Yes,
but maybe he don't care about the Bible.
You didn't see how many times it annoyed him, or how many times it hassled or phoned, or...
Nor had you. You're taking this on the belief that he might have done. Have you ever thought? Wait, no. Have you ever thought that no. Right, like this Syrian war, right? The war in Syria. They're blaming Assad for the guy doing the chemical attack in Syria. Yes, they are, and they want to go to war with him again. Except he'd already pretty much won the war, right? So what they do is they don't burn the bridges past tense. They do it afterwards. So they will create a story. Oh, he was harassed for years afterwards, right? And that's why he didn't put his hand on the Bible. That's what they will do.
This is like comparing apples and oranges. The preset interviews, they also didn't put their hand on the Bible. That was a very calm, respectful person that was interviewing them. You can't compare that to a guy stalking them and harassing them.
Bible? Why?
It's not the same thing.
Why wouldn't you?
If somebody's going to harass you, then I wouldn't cooperate with them either, even if they brought out a Bible and tried to make me swear. You can't compare that to a preset interview with a respectful person.
No, but
wait, no. Most of the American people, you would say, is a Christian country, would you not? It's a Christian.
78%.
Right. So being a Christian country, they believe, very passionate about Christianity. Put the hand on the Bible and put it to rest.
No, Ranty, you're creating a conspiratard thing just because something doesn't agree with your view.
No, that's called obfuscation, Alan.
No, Ranty doesn't agree with something, so therefore it must be wrong.
He's not disagreeing with anything. He's literally detailing what specifically happened when Bart Sabrell asked the astronauts to put their hands on the Bible and swear they went to the moon. He's literally just detailing what actually happened.
Well, I don't blame them.
There is a video of an astronaut swearing on the Bible that I put in the chat if anyone's interested.
Okay, yeah, I'll look at it later. I've just been watching. I've watched 7 today where they refused and threatened to attack him or shoot him.
How many was there went to the moon?
Not many.
12.
12. So you've got 5 people that you haven't seen refuse to swear on the Bible. Maybe
Doesn't matter. Even if they take 7, that's more than 50% straight away.
Yeah, but good question from the chat. If they swore they went to the moon, would you believe it, Ranty?
Nope, he wouldn't.
That's a good question.
I would be more likely to believe it than not.
How much more likely?
How much?
A lot more likely than listening to them threatening to attack.
Sorry,
Him
was the question
his hand
hypothetically?
on an old book makes
Sorry,
you much more likely to believe him.
So you're saying
but let me get it this
hypothetically,
way.
had they actually sworn on the Bible, which they did not, would we believe them? Alan, you're going to call this hoaxy nonsense that hasn't happened from the Globe side? You're going to mention this, Alan? You're going to pipe up, mate?
Is that Bible CGI?
Sorry, I'm just pointing out, Alan, that you've come in and called us auto-hoaxers, yet one of the Globers is now literally inventing a scenario that hasn't happened and asking us what we would think if it had. Yeah? You're going to call this, Alan? You conspiratard globehead nonsense merchants? Hello? Ranty's detailing something that did happen. You understand that, right? He's not just making something up. He's detailing something that happened.
No.
Oh, by the way, I just...
So is that just a no? Hold on. Let's just... Hold on, Arwin. I want to find out from Alan what his reaction is to that, Alan. Is it just no? Is that the best you can do, mate? When you've come and levelled this at our doorstep and I'm pointing out that you guys are literally making stuff up. Trying to change history. Yeah?
What did we make up?
2 things, Nathan.
What did you make up, Dawn? Let's just paraphrase what you just asked Ranty. Had they sworn on the Bible, they didn't. Would you have thought blah blah blah? That didn't happen, Dawn. You're just making up nonsense that did not happen.
It's a question from your audience.
And I
it's not a question from my audience. Ranty's asking the question about something that did happen. We don't need to hear about your conspiratard nonsense, Dawn. We don't need to hear about your nonsense that didn't happen. Ranty's detailing something that did happen.
Check it out. The question is this: but aside from Bart Sabrell, aside from that, the question just ultimately, I think, from the chat, and it is an interesting question. It's poignant. Is that if they did swear on the Bible, would it be all the more believable to any one of us?
No.
Well, it wouldn't have set the alarm bells ringing as loud as not doing it.
Right, but do you think that... How about this, though? Do you think that is a great way to, say, trigger someone?
No, I think that they shouldn't be there trying to trigger people. They should be there...
Well, no, hold on. Listen. Check it out. If, let's say I wanted to make a propaganda piece to trigger the average viewer, and I had somebody not swear on a Bible to make my point and make it seem like, aha, I got you. Wouldn't that be a great tactic?
No, because ultimately, if they had been... No. If they had... No, wait. Listen to me. If they had been to the moon, they should have no problem, whoever asked them, to put the hand on the Bible.
Why not? I'd have a problem with it. Why should I touch your book? Your old book?
Well, do you know why you would have a problem with it? Because you're a ball earth believer, and you also know that if you disagree with it, you will also be condoning what they did, right? Whereas most average people would say, hang on, well, it's not really a big issue, really. If you have actually been to the moon, you would put your hand on the Bible in front of the world and tell them you went to the moon.
You can't say that's a normal thing. If you went to the moon, you must touch the Bible. Like what?
Why? No. You must touch the Bible just to put the argument to rest.
Isa, in court, you don't have to touch the Bible these days, do you?
No, I can attest.
I was thinking about that earlier, actually.
But you see what's happened. Science, like you say,
it's
replacing. It's replacing religion.
They've taken touching the
you're
Bible
right.
out of the courts, Ranny, so it
We
doesn't
have
really mean
people in the
anything
chat
anymore.
saying that they would put their cock on the Bible, right? Yeah, right.
No
now,
need.
this is what I'm saying, right?
Dear
100 years ago, this would not happen, right? This is what I'm saying. Science, the religion of science.
Well, Ranty, I
has-
think you should elaborate that point because it sounds quite disturbing. What he's referring to, possibly, I think, and I hope, is the idea that testimony has something in reference to the testes.
Okay.
So
all right. Well,
testify would be this ancient concept that a man would put his proverbials on the yeah. So that's
What do
what
you
he's
think
referring
it's
to.
more referencing to putting
Just a
somebody
little bit,
to the
it's
test?
history. It's history. It's
Isa, you believe in all the court stuff, don't you? So
well,
why
I mean,
is it?
well, it's not that I believe in it, Randy. It's that everyone else does.
All right. So when you stand up in court and you're brought to court, what is it they ask you to do before you give any evidence?
Well, it depends what you're in there for. Are you a claimant? Are you a defendant? What do you mean?
Well, before presenting evidence, they ask you to hold up your hand, don't they?
Well, they may, yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's at what point of the proceedings are you at?
Well, what
'Cause
point would you tell me? What I'm trying to say is that even now, right, the system recognizes that the Bible and God and you making a claim against that, that you will tell the truth, right, is still very important in the hearts and minds of people today, right? It's a very important part of life.
Right, and that's why I said it would be a very good way if you were making a propaganda piece to make it look like somebody wouldn't swear on the Bible.
Why it is incredibly hard for me to swallow to see these astronauts who were paid a ridiculous amount of money and had the privilege of going to the moon, for them not to be willing to put the hand on the Bible and show the population and prove to them the same as you would do in a court of law.
Apparently, in court now, you just have to affirm that you're telling the truth. You don't have to touch the Bible, apparently. I just looked up.
Okay, then. So you see how that's changed recently. I'm going back to the science is replacing religion. Do you see how the
point?
Well, no. This is the idea. Hold on. There's always been a secular
Hello,
aspect.
P. How you doing?
On the foundation
Hello.
of freedom of religion.
Anthony, please say something.
What do you want me to say?
Just let's move it on.
Yeah, because you don't like this. You don't like the fact.
Well, no. The point is, Ranty, that there's so much to it. It's very thick, and the thing is that we're both kind of right. Because the thing is, it is like a little funny that one of the astronauts wouldn't put their hand and swear on the Bible. It just also, it's a little bit out of context. And as someone who were delving into the truth, one would have to be aware of that potential.
If the astronaut was willing to lie about going to the moon on TV and to the American public, why wouldn't he just put his hand on the Bible and lie too?
Because of national security.
No.
And liability.
No.
Well, maybe.
No, I mean, I'm saying
weren't
like
weren't they really Christians admitted?
Well, but my point is, if he's a liar,
believe in that?
If he's a liar, then putting his hand on a Bible wouldn't stop him from lying. So he could just simply put his hand on a Bible and lie.
Yeah, but maybe that was just one step too far for them, personally, because they do actually believe in
really,
Christ.
like lying to the entire world
If it's
about
for
going
a
to the
matter of
moon
national security, if that
is
is
not
the
one
constant.
step too far. But putting your hand on the Bible is going too far. I don't understand.
Clark,
I think there's a disconnect
It's
there.
not too far for them personally.
Hold on,
I think you're
Hi,
right that it
Peanuts.
might be a liability, actually.
Say hello to our new guest. Hi, Peanuts. Good to have you.
What up, Peanuts?
Sup, nuts?
I thought that was a webcam and he was just standing really still.
Can you say hello, Peanuts?
Yeah, no, I think he's there.
Oh, okay.
That's not.
Nope, he's gone.
Yeah, didn't hear enough from him quick enough. Sorry, Peanuts, if you were real.
I was playing League of Legends today, and I told my teammates that the Earth was flat, and they all said I was stupid. And this one guy said, like, I don't even want to win anymore because I don't want a flat earther to win this game.
Wow.
That tells me something, that does.
I mean, to me, that's evidence that flat Earth is true.
Oh no, to me that's evidence flat Earth is silly.
Sorry, what do you mean?
To me,
How
that's
on
It's
earth
not
could that be
evidence, it's true, but it is evidence
Tell
that the
them, Alan.
psychological impact that flat Earth has made is severe, and especially the counter psychology warfare.
I want
To
to
me,
hear this,
I'd
Arwin.
say
Hold
we
on,
need to
sorry, Alan. Can I just hear from P? Can you qualify that a bit more, P? I'm interested to hear why you take that as proof, psychologically or whatever. However you've logically deduced that, I want to hear it.
Well, I'm a believer that if a lot of people believe something, it's probably not true. So
That is an interesting philosophy.
Yeah.
And I do kind of agree.
I think you need to get out a bit more, P. Perhaps find a girl, settle down, have some beers. What do you Americans call it? Pound cake?
Don't be so patronizing.
No, I had it in New York.
I've been working out.
Really?
Cool. Good
Yeah.
for you, man.
How much do you weigh?
I'm not really sure. Probably like 200 pounds, 190, something like that.
Heading for diabetes.
All right, enough of all that now. Enough of that.
Don't be patronizing, Alan.
Yeah,
Patronizing?
Yes.
No, P. Mars can take it. He's a big boy.
So yeah,
Not
back
so
to the shape of the Earth.
Flat or round?
What do you call it? I mean, yeah, I think. Well, I think who can really make the decision without
Swear
having
on the
to
Bible
rely-
about your
This is
shape belief.
Well, the thing is like it's an interesting discussion to be had because if you look at it like you're dealing with an optical phenomena when you're looking off into the distance, right?
Yep.
At a certain point, so it is like it is like either you're gonna accept the NASA or the heliocentric doctrine, which it is so referred to as by Nathaniel Bowditch, for instance. That's what's intrigued me. I heard there's a special ring you get in the mail and everything. So like I am just looking forward to getting the ring now that I've joined back with the heliocentric doctrine because I think it's got to have magical powers. And I think that like the idea of understanding all of this subject leads one into the recognition that, there is kind of, whether the Earth is round or however you see it, there's still magic out here. And I think if we don't celebrate that magical possibility of life, then, that's more important.
You sound like a hippie.
That's a bit silly, Isa.
Yay, man.
But I would like to say that I don't fully agree. It's not a discussion between round or flat. It's a discussion between a very elaborate and complete theoretical based globe model and the denial of that based on observations that it may have an aspect of flatness that would disprove that globe model.
If that's what
because
you
we
think
don't
this
really
discussion
have a
is,
model.
you're
I know
deluded.
Globers love to suggest that we all do have this unified model, which they can then disprove through various theoretical experiments and observations.
Well, all we really
but
have
we
is
don't really have a
You're not
unified
understanding
model.
what the conversation is, Owen.
Well,
Sorry.
all we really do have, Arwen, is all of us, is we have projections and estimations. I mean, we can admit that, like, let's say Google Earth doesn't have a full datum set, right? Because of political purposes and all the rest of it. And that each map that we do map out is a projection, but it does and I mean, we have to remember also too that the Babylonians, the people who gave us the actual zodiac, they predicted eclipses, lunar eclipses, and solar eclipses.
Mm-hmm.
They were flat earthers, and
that is assumed.
Well,
These are all far history assumptions, but to be honest,
of course,
I think
but
that when the Jesuits went around the world and changed and erased religions and all that stuff, then they also changed the assumptions of what history was like and what cultures were like, and even which cultures were around and which weren't. So, to be honest, even the base assumption that it was flat, that everyone always believed that it was flat, is inconclusive. There's indications through historical ancient pictures that they had models that included flatness, but there's no real absolute certainty. You have to actually speak to somebody age to know for sure.
Arwin, you should get a T-shirt on it with "I don't believe in anything, including the last statement."
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I
Arwen,
lots of things.
So here's the thing, is that I'm sure there's better magic spells or something. The thing is like this. I think if we recognize that the standard academic model, as written as, let's say, an accepted book such as Nathaniel Bowditch's American Practical Navigator, then I think we'd recognize that the academic model does say that the Babylonians, the people who first mapped the stars, were flat earthers, which is fascinating, right? And so what I'm trying to say is that, yeah,
but we by now have figured out that it's not necessarily even relatable. Just because they mapped out the star, all the angular relations, doesn't mean that they then assumed it to be flat automatically.
Well, that's
they
what
just mapped out the
that's
stars in relation to the locations on the Earth.
Are you just a contrarian?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
He is really badly.
Well, look, what I'm trying to say is this.
You mean that I have oppositional defiance disorder?
Yeah, kind of.
Well,
yeah.
Not so medically and inflected.
Let's have that again, Arwen.
The thing is that, like, I'm just saying, like, if there is a lot leading to it, and then the argument. This is where I take up contention too, because I'm trying to fix up the ball earth argument now. See,
operational defiance disorder. Was that what you said? Operational defiance disorder.
No, it's oppositional defiance disorder.
Oppositional defiance disorder.
You're very creative with that one.
So
no, that's actually an official psychiatric.
I think Nathan's got a new shirt.
Contrarian delusional disorder. That's what.
Got a new shirt right there.
Anthony's
that's the slogan right there.
Tony, you've been quite negligible in this.
Negligible.
Yeah, negligible. I don't want to interrupt the flow.
You what?
Can't be negligible. His input can be negligible.
Come on.
You're being insignificant, Tony.
Yes, come on, Tony.
Well, I don't mind being negligible if everybody's in.
Well, I have a question for Isa, actually, seeing as he's on the ball side today. Isa, can you produce me some scientific proof of curvature?
Well, here's my thing is that this is the thing is that, I mean, my thing is that I know through a legal perspective, right, that it's impossible for me to prove something. But the thing is that how this is our line, Dawn. How dare you make the claim that just because there's an optical phenomena at a distance, you know the shape of the Earth?
No, we're not turning the question around to us.
How dare you?
But that's a false statement.
Basically, what you've done there is you've turned the question around to ask a question to me. So I'm not asking that. I'm asking you a question for the scientific proof of the curvature of the Earth. Have you got any?
Right.
Can you please answer in song format?
But mine has moral implications, Randy. This is the thing.
Mine has tangible. Mine has tangible. Show me some proof of curvature.
Well,
how dare you ask for that, how dare you?
Is an optical phenomena not recognizably something that you can't necessarily prove one way or the other?
It doesn't have to be optical. Show me proof of the curvature.
How the fuck can I show you something and it not be optical?
Especially because you don't have it.
No swearing.
No. In order for me to show you something, I have to use optics to do it, right?
No, you don't. Empirical. You can show me some empirical proof.
What, just measurements of sticks, or what do you mean?
Anything
measurements of sticks.
That follows the scientific
that'll
method.
do. Just show me some measurements of sticks and I'll believe you.
Just use a giant ruler.
Or some balls suspended. That'll do.
So it's a silly question. You're admitting it, yeah?
Maybe a pendulum.
Absolutely not. No, it's a
silly
very
request.
No,
you're asking for curvature, Randy, when you show obstruction in every one of your videos. That's silly.
We are asking for the proof of your ball.
Did you hear Dawn's statement? He says you're asking for proof of curvature. He says you're asking for proof of curvature, and yet you show, quote, obstruction in every image. It's like, yeah, and if there's obstruction, does that mean there's curvature, Dawn?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, even on a football field.
See, that's the point of contention. And that's the thing is that we too, guys, have to recognize that there's an optical phenomena. And to be intellectually honest, we would have to recognize that on both sides of that discussion, due to the optical phenomena, we can't determine either way.
Yeah, we can.
Right?
It's flat.
Nathan, where's your football pitch thing? Get that up.
Well, Nathan, wouldn't that be more
Why?
of an opinion than a?
Hold
I
on.
mean, like,
Why?
I mean, granted.
What's your issue? We've gone over this,
Football
Alan.
pitches are always fully flat, aren't they, Nathan?
Oh, right. Where's the curve on them then,
They don't
Dawn?
drain off the side to stop puddles in the middle or anything like that. Do
Oh,
they?
right. And which way did he walk down the pitch, Dawn?
I have no idea. Is that the guy in the
Yeah, he
pink
walked
shirt?
between the goal lines, didn't he? Right down the middle of the pitch between
Is
the
that
goal
the meme
lines.
they use to indoctrinate people?
So just out of interest,
You know what
Dawn,
you're talking
how
about?
do you know? Just out of interest, Dawn, how do you know that there is drainage on that pitch?
Oh, Nathan.
So the man got obstructed from the bottom up on a flat surface. That's your argument?
No,
no. How do we know that the pitch
I just put forward that he'd been obstructed, Dawn, and
Is that a vanishing zone on the end of the
lots
football
of
field? Is that what you're
disingenuous ballers asserted, I couldn't quite believe my luck, but asserted that he was being obscured by curvature. Football pitch curvature in this case. Just
Which
none of them
ballers said
spotted
that?
the awkward detail that he was walking along the centre of the pitch between the goal lines. So if there was any drainage on that pitch, it would be going along the middle to the sidelines. That's how it works. If it had any drainage, not that any of you went out and actually proved it, all I showed was a guy being obstructed. Comical that you would immediately assert that it's pitch curvature.
So what was it, Nathan, then? Vanishing point?
Nathan.
Or
Well,
CGI?
Not curvature, Dawn.
So what was it obstructing him from
An
the bottom?
alternative to curvature, Dawn.
Which is what on a football pitch? Vanishing
An
zone on a football
alternative,
pitch.
it's what it is. So when we are presented with a boat that's being obscured from the bottom up and we are told unequivocally it must be curvature, I can present an alternative. And you can
You're not
ask
told
me, well,
unequivocally
what's
that
causing it then? And I can say
point.
it doesn't matter what's causing it. It's an alternative explanation. I don't have to prove
not
what's
even gonna
causing it on
explain
that
why the
pitch.
man was obstructed
Dawn, you
bottom up
seem
on
to
a
have
football
verbal diarrhea.
Dawn.
I don't have
theory
to
on it.
prove what's causing
I
the
have a theory.
obstruction
It's caused by perspective.
over 100 yards. I don't need to do that, right? All I need to do is point out that it's not automatically curvature, even if you guys want it to be.
Oh, great argument. But
Dawn,
you can't
it's
explain
called-
why he was obstructed.
It's called ad hoc hypothesis. You can create ad hoc hypothesis till the end
this
of
guy's
time
talking now.
to explain anything.
Not ad
So
hoc.
Dawn,
No.
where was
What do you mean
where
ad
was the
hoc?
footage shot?
Literally, we saw the guy being obstructed
Just
from the
can't
bottom
get a
up,
word in.
Pete.
The
Literally, we
football
saw that
footage.
happen,
Yeah,
Pete.
where was it
That's
shot?
not ad hoc. That's not me
All
just
they
coming
show
up
is
with an
two
explanation.
images, one with half his legs gone and one with him standing normally on the
So
grass.
it's not ad hoc then, is it? Literally, we saw that happen, didn't we?
But you're not explaining why. We have an explanation.
Sorry,
You're not
I'm
saying
not
anything.
trying to explain why. I've just
Then
said
why are
this,
you
Dawn.
talking
What, are you
about it
deaf?
for?
Are you deaf? I've just tried to explain this to you once. I'm not offering it as an explanation for anything. I'm not offering it as a proof of anything. I'm saying there is an alternative explanation to things being obscured from the bottom up.
What is that alternative explanation?
Who knows? It's not automatically curvature, though, is it?
Curved pitch.
Are you going to tell me the alternative explanation?
No, I don't need to. It's just
Okay, so let's move on.
easier
Yeah?
to explain this way, Dawn. You guys automatically, even with a football pitch, assume it's curvature instantly.
No.
No.
You do. I've watched it happen.
Nick did.
No.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, that's what
Nick
not an
happens.
did.
assumption.
If there's something
Well-
being obstructed from the bottom up, you can be damn sure it's curvature causing it.
No, that's not what people say.
Yeah, they do. That's exactly what they did.
No,
I had
they don't.
citation after
Yes, they
citation,
did.
and M. Scott Veach, son of an astronaut, backing up the citations from Nick L., who claims to be smart, saying the reason he's being obscured from the bottom up is because of curvature. Curvature of the pitch because of drainage.
Nathan, if you look at the central pole on that video, that should be 10 foot. Why can't you see the bottom?
Because of perspective, Alan.
What, over that short distance?
Perspective
Yes,
makes
because
things
the-
disappear from
the
the bottom.
view is-
Darwin.
The
Have you looked
observer
up the
is
definition of perspective recently?
the observer
perspective
is
does make
almost
things
directly
disappear from the
on
bottom
the
up.
ground.
Are you just
Because
working with your own
the refraction
perspective?
effect, which is natural, it's always there. causes that point, that perceived curvature.
Have you changed the definition of
actual physics
perspective again, Owen?
to become a lot closer, and
Have
that
you
causes the
changed the
vanishing zone induced by that refraction bending light up
Show me
to
the
come
word
a lot
vanishing zone.
closer.
Dawn, can you not talk over him?
Want me to show the paper again?
Sorry, I don't have. He said one point. I'm trying to challenge it. He's not using the proper definition of perspective, is he? He's made up his own definition.
Now, it
So
is
that fine in a flat earth debate? You can just make up definitions for words, or
Come on, Tony.
It's a combination of perspective and refraction of light. Because the observer is so close to the ground, the slant induced by refraction comes a lot. Yeah, I explained it many times. It comes a lot closer.
Can you stop interrupting him?
it's woo-woo within the first like 5
Dawn,
words.
shut up! You've asked him a question. He's answering it. He's got halfway through his answer.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, you got.
Now, shall I repeat myself?
No.
Okay.
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
Sorry about your forest.
It's so good.
Can you do an experiment, Owen, on a football pitch, showing me how perspective makes things disappear from the bottom?
We've done it. We've shown it.
Dirty hair.
We've shown it.
Maybe wear a
It's been
pink
on this,
t-shirt.
It's been on
as
this
well.
hangout. What's the problem? Did you not watch it?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
What are you complaining about?
You've changed the definition of perspective. That's what I'm annoyed about.
It's all a part of that. The perspective,
you
in
can't
this case,
change
the
the definition of
perspective
words.
has to do with the observer, and the observer is very, very close to the ground in that footage, causing the refraction effect to come a lot closer.
No, you don't get refraction on a football field.
No, you get refraction
No.
in everything.
Nope.
Yes.
No.
Sorry, Owen, you're
Part
just
of
making stuff up.
observation. Everywhere you look, there's always refraction there.
As Tony would say, Arwin, no.
Yeah,
You're very creative
look
with
at,
it.
look
It
at the
doesn't make it
horizon
any better.
everywhere.
No.
Never looking at the real horizon, you're always looking at the perceived
Well, hang on, wait a
horizon.
minute. Do you know what's embarrassing here, guys, for you guys, is that the rumpus would argue that Arwen is correct, that there is refraction everywhere.
That is embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
Rante, the thing you need to learn, my friend, is that Rumpus is not our leader.
No, we know
But at
that.
the end of the day, he seems to be the one that has at least half a brain cell, as opposed to you guys that have zero.
Oh, that's. There's no.
He knows the arguments.
No, there's no evidence of that.
Hold on. Riley has more degrees than Rumpus, so it's all cool.
You guys like to argue with Rumpus because he's terrible at debate. So I don't.
Yeah, that's not our
I
problem.
don't really agree.
I
with
love that.
That's called taking advantage of a bad situation.
Isa can make the ball look better in 1
Well, I'm
second.
not saying it's.
Rumpus
I'm
can in
just.
2 weeks.
I'm just saying like he's not very smart.
No, he is very smart. He's just not very social.
He just screams too much. That's what it is. He
goes on and on.
No. You know what Rumpus is? Rumpus is the guy that you got to tell him. All right, Rumpus is the guy that like actually has to. No, has to calculate the trajectory like of the
Alan,
ship.
can you please stop interrupting other people?
No.
We're doing it a lot now.
It's
Don't
like
do that.
He does all the math for us on the ship so we can get to where we got to go, but we just don't ask him about it because he's annoying. You know?
Yeah.
That's who Rumpus is. He does all the math. You're like, hey, what's the trig on this? And he's like, got it. So that's why
I
you got
went
to
to
love a guy like
Antarctica.
Rumpus.
I'll explain the measurements.
The point is
No,
that
thanks.
you can't
Go away.
necessarily. It's about social. Like this conversation that can have a lot to do with people's psychology. All this conversation goes into all kinds of arenas, and it goes into misunderstandings and the misapplication of words. And and that's where we get all hemmed up in all this. And we start thinking we know shit. Well, the point is that we start thinking we know shit. My thing is that, hey, on the other side of it, we're dealing with optical phenomena. We're dealing with, really, if we're going to be honest, intangible objects and presuppositions. But that also makes it like something that, it's meat. It's meat on the bone for conversation, because a lot of it is necessarily speculation and third-party information that we have to go on our own instincts about. What choice are you going to make about it? But the point is, at least be honest about all the all the facts of the matter. And that's where a lot of people, I think, have the biggest problem with any of this stuff. And then I think also the way that it's represented. I mean, shit, if you go out nowadays, if you're like a flat earther And like, let's say someone like, you know, with a really big amount of following for flat Earth, like has a hard time representing it to the, let's say, you know, to the most people that are studying this stuff or just have like not really looked into it or new to it, you endanger all the flat earthers because now people think that people are lying. Right?
I'm just reading the chat that's going along the top of the boxes about who's sniping who.
Oh, I don't even know what's going on right now.
Nah, Alan B was being very disruptive, so Ranty decided to kick him.
The
And
calmest
I
one on the
agree.
show. Ranty kicked him because he's. I don't know why.
No, I agree. I wouldn't do it because I don't know how, but I agree.
Yeah, I mean, for the last 10 minutes, he'd simply just screamed no. He was turning into a rumpus.
He was not screaming at all, mate.
No, but he was constantly, unnecessarily interrupting everyone, including you.
What happened to Rumpus? Did he get kicked or did he drop?
I interrupt people as well. I'm sorry. It's hard not to.
Yeah, that's obviously the downside of losing. What's his name? Alan B. We now get the join and muted, the join and the muted.
Yeah, Alan B, I kind of like you, but if you're gonna like interrupt everybody for no good reason at all, then yeah, that like of you will decrease. So just don't do that anymore.
Do you look what you've done now, Ranty?
Well, yeah, the thing is this though, is that if we start you know,
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. It's like, you know, the thing is that that's where a lot of people that maybe aren't familiar with the discussion have now become familiar with it. That, like, you know, if some of the arguments aren't made properly publicly, then, you know, there's a lot of people out there that don't really, you know, I mean, who knows what people really think in this world, right? And what their designs are and what their philosophies and how they intend to do with what they, you know, have. So, I mean, that's where, if we're going to talk about like the conversation, the actual shape and all the study of these things, then I think, you know, we should do so, you know, just honestly.
Well, what's your position, Isa? Are you actually a flat earther, or are you actually going back to the ball?
Well, my thing is this, is that I look at it like it's asking me who I voted for.
This is the Rumpus-esque question. Just answer the question.
Yes.
Who's that, me?
Rumpus even got exasperated at the time it took you to answer a question, and that's saying something.
Oh my god.
So, what do you say, Isa?
What's that?
Flat or ball?
Well, I would say this, is that it's like asking me who am I going to vote? Who did I vote for?
You have to swear on the Bible, Isa, or else I'm not going to believe you.
Well, yeah, right. Well,
It's no use. What? It's no use to swear on the Bible about what you believe or don't believe.
Why not? Why not? The Bible's good for telling truth from.
No, but it has nothing to do with what you believe or do not
But
believe.
if you swear on the Bible, that says if it's true or not. So we can test people's beliefs if they're true or not by making them swear on the Bible.
What's the point?
I could bring a Bible on here and make all you three.
Yeah, but if
swear
something
that you
then
believe
comes
that's
up
flat.
and they believe in something else, then what was the point? Then you just...
Would you swear on the Bible, Arwen, that you believe the Earth is a looping rectangular shape?
Oh,
If I asked you to swear on the Bible,
No, I wouldn't.
Why not?
Okay, I'll behave.
Because I'm not sure.
Okay, so would you swear on the Bible that you believe a looping rectangular Earth is a possibility?
Yes.
Okay, you'd swear on the Bible that you think that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Okay,
'Cause
but it's
that
only a
would be the
possibility.
truth.
So why do you push that as your model if it's only a possibility?
Because I think it's a very viable possibility and I want to explore it. I want to explore if that is real because I'm very interested in finding out the truth, especially if it is what I think it is, and that is a lot more complicated than people assume it to be.
Would you try that as a chat-up line? Like tell a girl, I would swear on the Bible that Earth being a looping rectangular universe.
I don't think that's a good way to pick up
viable
girls swearing on Bibles.
I would. That
Good for
sounds
you.
fucking awesome.
Maybe a lawyer chick. I don't know.
Would you tell your mum or dad that you would swear on the Bible you believe looping rectangular Earth is a viable possibility?
Oh God.
I think you're downplaying the importance.
I don't know why they trust
the original assertion with the Bible, which was if you've physically been somewhere and tangibly.
Yeah, we went through that. I'm changing it to belief.
You're asking him about a belief.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's no point.
He could swear all day about what he believes. He could swear all day about that.
Yeah,
if you ask him, has he ever
on the Bible, that means I can tell if it's true or not, if he actually believes it, or
if you
if
ask
he's
him,
just
has he
pretending.
ever stepped foot in Blackpool and put his hand on the Bible and say he has, when he's only ever maybe seen Blackpool from some of the footages that we've presented, he would be lying and he wouldn't do it.
I've never been to Blackpool.
Yeah, but if he swears on the Bible, I can tell if he's lying or not, can't I?
No, you can't.
No,
oh, there you go. Then. There you go then.
Yeah, but I can.
It's the fact that
you might be able to
swearing on the Bible doesn't mean anything.
No, well, it means something. Do you know something? It means something to the people that you ask, because these astronauts, right? We were told that 78% of the American population are Christian, right? Now, he has friends, he has family, and probably a lot of them are part of that Christian sect. Now, if he put his hand on the Bible,
how about the astronauts
Bible and deliberately lied and said he had been to the moon and put his hand on the Bible and swore it on God's name,
no, it means something to religious people. I know.
It would have meant something to his, maybe not to him, but to his family. Now, he couldn't. Now, me personally, I could never hurt my family. Now, if you've got somewhere in everybody there is moral compasses, and their moral compass was triggered when they were asked to put the hand on the Bible, because it was down to a point then. It was down to the point of, do I do this and lie, or do I kick up a fuss and get away with it? And he would rather kick up a fuss and not do it.
Isa.
That's what it was.
Isa.
Yeah.
Does that sound like supposition?
I mean, yeah, a little bit, but it's
yes or no.
Forgive me, I'm having a hard time. I was zoned out on what Randy was saying there, but it did sound a little bit presumptuous. But what's going on?
Can I just say what I think about the astronauts' Bible thing? It doesn't add anything if they do swear on the Bible, but it certainly does take away if they refuse to.
But there's also the cultural implications of what that meant culturally to Americans back then.
Well, let's see, like just
it had a heavy cultural weight to do something like that.
Yeah, I agree with that, Owen.
But yeah, doesn't it actually speak? Doesn't it speak to the credibility of those men, though? That, let's say, God forbid, something like because people have said before, it's like they looked like a little funny in those pictures when they came back, but that's none of my business. The point is that if if, like, let's say, coming from your position, if they didn't swear on the Bible, that would mean that they recognize, that they'd actually be honorable to some extent, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
that's what I'm proposing, is that they didn't do it because they really have honor. They really believe in Christ, because what I've heard, many of the astronauts, especially the earlier ones, they were very devout Christians themselves.
Right.
And they in interviews, they said this stuff. And then basically what they were forced to do by the government is to be part of a secret program where they would falsify, or sorry, maybe it's not the right word, they would lie about going to the moon, and it would be a part of the national security not to share that information. But they then had to do that, basically.
So do you see how
the program, but that doesn't mean that they actually like lying and they would take it that far.
But
that is my
do you see how,
on it.
but I want to just understand, do you see how, like, to the average person listening to that just sounds like totally, like, freaking crazy?
I do understand, like, not swearing on the Bible is kind of akin to losing the telemetry data in a way. Is that meaningful to some people? But I'm saying now in 2018, touching the Bible doesn't mean it's true or a lie.
Well, hang on. How just back on touching that point?
No, it still does, but it just doesn't have the same cultural weight as it did back then,
I agree,
because so much has happened.
That's my point. Yeah.
Yeah, but how did they lose that data? How is it lost? How the effing hell is it lost?
Easily.
Well, Jem explained that the other night on ISIS, how it was lost.
Well, and how was it lost?
True. Because Jem explained it.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, maybe we shouldn't go through it again now.
Well,
I'm just
no,
saying,
what it is,
not swearing on the Bible is akin to, like, a sign of, oh, maybe I shouldn't trust this.
if I'm not mistaken, it was something to do with there was some certain set of film that went to a TV that they filmed, and it was one of those rolls of film that they lost, and that was the data alongside that. But
I mean, look how much stuff the BBC have lost.
It's called a
that's 'cause
scorched
the
policy.
BBC.
That's what it is.
You want Tony?
That's because it's the BBC. Lots of weird things happen in BBC. Look at Jimmy Savile.
Yes, that was rather unfortunate.
Well, that is a media system. There's choices being made about what to preserve and what not to. NASA is supposedly a scientific organization that is doing all of this stuff as a groundwork for science in the future. So it would be, yeah, they are assumed to basically preserve all the data that they gather. So it's not, you can't really compare it to the BBC, a media organization. Really.
Well, they store media, and they do a lot of things.
I know.
So you're saying it was a little bit lax of them to lose it?
Well, I don't understand.
It's severe negligence.
Just a little bit lax. I mean, the most important historic thing in the history of mankind, and they lose it.
One of the most important.
Have any other examples of where that happened, Alan? Because I can only think of NASA, really.
Well, the BBC lost quite a lot of stuff. I mean,
what was important as landing on the moon?
Well, I'm a big fan of comedic writing, and they lost all of Hancock's How, and they retrieved that back from Bob Monkhouse's loft.
And how does this compare to landing on the moon?
Well, to some people, the telemetry is not important. It's not important to me, but
it's scientific data.
Can I just ask Alan a quick question?
You know
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry, Ranty. Can I just ask Alan a quick question?
Right now, they cannot replicate going
to
the moon.
Ranty. Sorry to interrupt. Alan, so did you just say that they went to Bob Monkhouse and found Hancock's Half Hour?
Yes.
So it's not lost anymore?
No.
So that would be an example of something that was lost by the BBC and subsequently found again. So have we found the telemetry data subsequently?
Well, I don't know.
No, we haven't. So would you say that's a hold on, Dawn. So is that a comparable?
Sorry.
Is that a comparable example then, Alan? When they've actually got the material back?
Are my toes going on the fire?
Well, maybe you'd like to come up with a different example of where they've lost something irretrievably. Because obviously, I mean, let's face it, Hancock's Half Hour and man's greatest achievement, they're of course comparable, and Hancock's Half Hour has been found, yet man's greatest achievement has not. Thanks for that example, Alan, that's wonderful.
It just proves people sometimes lose stuff.
And then find it again in the case of Hancock's Half Hour, right?
Well, that was lucky.
You gotta remember,
Alan B said it was lucky they found it in the loft.
Yes, it was so lucky that they found it again because they'd got it. So it hasn't been lost, it's been retrieved.
It was lost.
Telemetry data is lost forever, never to be found again.
Hey guys, check it out.
It had been lost.
Nathan, in the words of Frankie Goes to Hollywood, relax.
Hey guys,
what are you talking about? You just made an absolutely terrible example. So you said the BBC lose stuff, then you used Hancock's Half Hour because it was lost by the BBC, but it's subsequently been found by an employee of the BBC.
Hey guy, I'm just chatting. Relax.
Yeah, you're chatting. Yeah, mate.
Just chatting nonsense.
I'm not.
Nonsense. So the BBC haven't lost Hancock's Half Hour. An employee of the BBC had copies.
They lost
correct?
They lost it. If it
no, they
wasn't
didn't. An employee had it. They misplaced it because an employee of the company had a copy.
No.
It was
hold on. Check it out. The point is this: if we can agree that at a fine institution like the BBC would be losing stuff, right? Just like just trying to host a show, okay? Washington
doesn't compare to NASA.
Hold on. Washington and NASA and all the rest of them were at war with the Cubans. There was a lot going on. The last thing on their mind was looking out for that.
NASA weren't at war with the Cubans. NASA were not at war.
Well, hold on. Doesn't the NASA report directly under the White House?
But that division that reports to them,
right, well,
just because somebody reports to somebody doesn't mean they're at war. You can have secretaries that report to somebody, and there's an entire division of infantry that are actually at war, but the secretaries are not. So NASA weren't at war. NASA aren't out there in the field. NASA aren't shooting guns at anybody. NASA aren't doing any of that stuff.
Well, I don't know. Maybe if we how about this? If they're all secret Masons hiding whatever, how do we know that they weren't?
Yeah, and were those Masons working on Doctor Who?
Well, we've got subsequent evidence, according to you guys, of them shaking hands with their enemies up in space, right? And building spaceships together.
I'm going to have a bacon sandwich.
Well, was it convenient of them to lose the data when that data would be needed to revisit the moon with today's technological era with 4D TVs and all that kind of stuff?
Well, the convenience is that they then cannot revisit the moon. They have more time to basically postpone that. That was the convenience.
That's what I was getting at. That's exactly what I was getting at, Nathan. Sorry, Arwin.
Okay. So what do you think about the BBC broadcasting Enoch Powell at the weekend?
I don't care if they lost it and then not found it ever again, ever.
Oh, come on, Nathan. You argumentative little bugger.
This is a debate channel.
Don't be sore.
Seriously, this is a debate channel. Your example of the BBC losing stuff, Alan, was garbage. It supported our side of the argument.
I think we should debate more instead of you just asking for proof of Earth's curve, because that's not really a debate. You're just demanding stuff and then not accepting it.
Yeah,
Sorry,
come on,
you've
Tony,
not
ask us
presented anything,
something.
Dawn.
Come on, Tony.
You've not
You're
presented
being
anything.
negligible.
Nothing has been presented as a proof of Earth. Zero.
I showed you many pictures, but
You know what's going to happen if you complain about it, right?
Yeah, it's not asking you for it.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing from the baller's perspective. Like I've been saying, it's like there's a couple of issues. This is what I was thinking we need to tighten up. It's the idea that like we don't have very many experiments to prove gravitation. Thankfully, most flat earthers haven't figured out that gravity just means weight etymologically, because that'd be a real tough one to overcome. Because the thing is that the idea is that if they, like gravitation, having one experiment for it is really where there's different stuff like that, and like take like Foucault's pendulum and stuff like that. These are the only proofs that we're gonna need more proofs is the thing, if we're really gonna get to the subject and the meat of it all.
It's funny that you're starting about that, because I have been pondering upon a new experiment that could more reliably potentially prove gravity or disprove gravitational pull.
This sounds great, Owen.
But I'm still working on the details. It's very complex.
Well, give us a little teaser.
Give us a little taste.
Well, the original Cavendish experiment is basically based on two large bodies supposedly being pulled towards each other. But the whole thing is very unreliable, in my opinion, especially if they're metal balls, which they usually are in the setup.
It's not very impressive either, is it?
Yeah, but what I've thought of is if there is some way to basically counteract, even over a short distance, the effects of gravity, which would be comparable to magnetic levitation, but magnetics are not. Hold on, let me finish. Magnetics are not very reliable because they are field-based and they have no.
So is this
they're not very absolute. They are variable. And then if you could do the same setup more or less with very small particles that are not susceptible to magnetism, say sand, or dust, and then if you could suspend this, then
where are you going to get these particles
from? A possibility that they should then be pulled towards each other because there is no gravity counteracting.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live panel for joining this show and making this debate possible. Also, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you've not done so already, be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!